morning to all of the commissioners, Chief Crowley and her command staff, City Attorney Nguyen, Ms. Gomez, and any guests who are on the phone and anyone who I might have missed. Welcome to the Board of Fire Commissioners special meeting. Today is Tuesday, December the 6th, 2022, and the time is 9 a.m. Ms. Gomez, would you do a roll call, please?
Woods Gray.
Here.
Babcock. Hara.
Here.
Harvey.
Here.
Ibarra.
Here.
Fire Chief Crowley.
Here.
Deputy City Attorney Linda Nguyen.
Here.
And once again for Commissioner Babcock, you have a quorum.
Thank you very much. Chief Crowley, would you do us the honor of doing the flag salute and the moment of silence at this time?
Yes, absolutely. If you can, please stand, hand over your heart. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance,
to the flag
of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. If you could, please remain standing and please join me in a moment of silence in honor of past and present members of the Los Angeles Fire Department who devote their lives to the protection of our community. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Chief Crowley. Ms. Gomez, could you do the rules for the public speaking at this time so that people have a chance to get prepared?
Yes, ma'am. Persons may listen to this meeting live by dialing any of the telephone numbers listed on the cover of the agenda for this meeting. Should you dial one of these numbers, you will be able to listen to the meeting but will not be able to give public comment during the meeting. Anyone wishing to address the Board of Fire Commissioners on any of the items on the agenda or to provide general public comment should call 1-669-900-9128. When you ask for a meeting ID, please enter 881-2091-3045. Followed by the pound sign. Then press the pound sign again to continue. You will then be joined into the meeting. To alert the board that you want to give public comment, press *9. You will be called on by board staff who may refer to you by using the last 3 digits of the number you are calling from. When unmuted by staff, press *6 and please state your name. As a general reminder, public comment will be limited to 1 minute per agenda item and up to 2 minutes allowed for agenda items. At the request of the speaker will be afforded an additional 1 minute for general public comment for a maximum of 3 minutes total per speaker. Time cannot be ceded to another speaker and an individual may speak only once during the public comment period. Only those who are in the queue when the President begins the public comment section of the agenda will be allowed to speak. These instructions may also be found on the front page of the agenda. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Gomez. Okay, we're at Commissioner comments. I would like to acknowledge and thank Sue Stingel, who completed her term with us on November 30th, and we did present her with a certificate of appreciation and wish her good luck in her new assignment. This is our last meeting under Mayor Garcetti, and I thank Mayor Garcetti for all the work that he has done to help the LA Fire Department. When we first came on, not one firefighter had been hired in 5 years. Under Mayor Garcetti, we've hired over 1,200 firefighters and counting, because we have recruits in the classes now and we have future recruits in the budget. So Mayor Garcetti has worked to help to improve this department tremendously. When he also came in, some people may remember the problems we had in the selection process. And so he instituted the stratified random sampling process, which was to help us improve our diversity. Now that's questionable. But it was a process that he implemented, and has helped. We provided us with the budget that was better than any that LAFD had had for years. And each year he was mayor, he continued to improve the budget, even to this year. And we thank him for that, because that's why the department is doing much better than when we started. He restored resources in some areas. He supported the girls' camp. And we actually have girls who went to the girls' camp who are actually either in the recruit classes or already firefighter trainees or are firefighters in their first or second years already, which is wonderful. He supported therapeutic bands, pilots, and he for mental health. And many people in the community are not even aware of that particular program, but it is a program that does really help out and provide specific services to citizens in the community, and there are many who need it. And his support of the LAFD's response to COVID-19 testing and vaccination was above and beyond the call of duty. We were able, under Chief Terrazas, to run a very efficient program helping people who came through the lines to get vaccinations. First it was testing and then vaccinations. And we were helping people who came through the lines. And also there was a program to help shut-ins, which was, I thought, extremely valuable. And the community certainly appreciated that. So we want to thank Mayor Garcetti. We will miss his leadership because he has his own distinct style of leading. And most recently, he implemented the DEI Bureau, and there's so many things that Mayor Garcetti did to help this department. Someday maybe it'll be written so we can share it with others. Because some people say, oh, we know what he did, but they don't really know all of the work that Mayor Garcetti did to help the fire department and probably other departments also. I want to congratulate the candidates who were promoted last week, wishing them the best, and especially Chief Larson, who is going to be working in the DEI Bureau, which I'm excited to see that get started and take off and hopefully solve some of the problems that the department identified when they did the Dolores study. And lastly, I want to make sure everyone who's listening knows that the Mayor-elect Karen Bass will be sworn in on December the 11th, and the public is invited. Okay, are there other comments from commissioners? Thank you for tolerating my going on. But I had to thank Mayor Garcetti. 9:08. Good morning. Are there other comments from other commissioners?
I guess I'm next then. Following the last regular, special meeting of the commission on the 15th of November, basically on the 18th, I attended the Kenneth Frank Memorial event. And it was a very moving event, and such a young man who had such a bright future. It was very touching, definitely. The following day, I attended the Youth Academy graduation event at Hotchkiss. At Chief McKnight and Chief Reddick were there, and then I sat next to Chief Crowley and Chief Gutierrez, and those events are always a lot of fun and what have you. And on the 22nd, I attended the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion event with Mayor Garcetti and Chief Crowley, Chief Gutierrez, and Chief Larson were also there in attendance. And on the 27th, I attended the Hollywood Christmas Parade. And on the bandwagon, actually, the families of two fallen firefighters Welker and Jose Perez were rode on the bandwagon with me. And actually, in that event, our electric engine followed the bandwagon. And on the 29th, we had our special meeting of the Fire Commission, and basically on December the 1st, I attended the promotional ceremony at Hotchkiss, where we promoted 10 engineers and 9 captains 1 and a half dozen captains 2, and then we had 3 assistant chiefs promoted: Amir Caspian, Rudolph Hill, and then of course Chris Larson was also promoted to assistant chief. And then on the 4th, I attended a meeting with Mayor Garcetti with the Asian American Pacific Islander commissioners, and Mayor Garcetti has been very supportive of all of the various ethnicities and what have you among the commissioners. And then on Sunday, I attended the San Pedro Spirit of San Pedro holiday parade on the bandwagon, and with Chief Crowley and Chief Villanueva, and ordinarily we're at the front of the parade, but this time we're toward the end of the parade, so it's kind of fun watching all the different groups that used to follow us, in all the various schools and all of the dancing groups and what have you. We got to watch them as they passed by us before we entered the parade. And I guess that basically sums up the various activities I've been doing. And then tonight we have the Valor Awards at Dodger Stadium, so I plan to attend that.
Oh, wow. Thank you, Dr. Hart. You have been busy. It's sometimes there were a few things to do, but this time there were a lot of things for you to do. Thank you very much for representing the Fire Commission, and there seems to be many activities that are going on. I missed those Christmas parades. Those were always fun to do. Are there other comments from other commissioners?
Following.
Good morning, Chief Commissioner.
Good morning. Following Commissioner Hara, it's a tough act to follow, but I did sit next to him and attend the promotional ceremony, and it was good to see many of the promotees I had the honor of working with when I was active. So I know the department's in good hands going forward.
Okay, very good. Thank you, Commissioner Harvey. Are there any other comments from other commissioners? If not, we will then move to item number 2 on the agenda, and that is the report of the fire chief.
All right.
Good morning, Chief Crowley again.
Good morning, Madam President. I'd be honored to walk through the significant meetings and events that I attended. This will be from November 15th through December 5th. November 17th, I had the honor to be invited as a keynote speaker at the Women's Leadership Network event. Had the opportunity, it's always a good time to be able to establish and communicate what the LEFD is all about. I was truly honored to step up and talk about what our people do day in and day out. So that was a wonderful opportunity. On November 8th, in fact, I'm going to be repeating a lot of things that Vice President Hara said, because he has been very busy and he was side by side with me throughout many of these events. So we did attend Firefighter Brink's funeral very well attended, just very tragic in regard to losing any of our active members, obviously, but a lot of love and support were in the room, and we'll continue to support our members who are grieving, as well as the Brink family. November 19th, did have the opportunity to speak and be present at the Metro Youth Fire Academy. That's such an incredible event that occurs every year. We've got multiple events that occur where we're really leaning forward to develop the next generation firefighter. Metro Fire Academy with Chief McKnight and his staff do an amazing job each and every year. So that was really fun to see a number of kids graduating from that 8-week, just really entry-level Youth Fire Academy. November 22nd, that was the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion presser. Again, what an incredible stepping off point for the LAFD. This is an initiative that we are all in, and we're excited to see where our DEI will take us. We're going to be doing a deep dive in our policies, procedures, and practices, and looking at it from those unique lenses of ensuring that we do truly value diversity, and we push for equity across the board for all members within the LAFD, and also when it comes to the services that we provide to the communities throughout our vast city. And another key piece to that is the inclusion and having that sense of belonging. So I'm really looking forward to pushing this forward for all the right reasons, and I'm honored to go ahead and support this in any way that I can. November 23rd, this was a really fun event. This was through the Lollipop Theater, and interesting enough, they reached out to my office, and they wanted to be able to connect with the LAFD. We originally had our kickoff Lollipop Theater. That was at Fire Station 4 a number of months ago. So this was our second opportunity where they set up a virtual tour, and this time we went to our air operations, and we had one of our pilots who did an amazing job and walked the kids through, and these are all children in hospitals spread all throughout the United States, and it's just really an incredible opportunity to show the kids what the LAFD is all about, what our equipment, our high level of equipment with our helicopters, and that was a fantastic way to share just with kids who have really severe illnesses and diseases that they're dealing with, and they're fighting each and every day for their lives. So it was a wonderful opportunity to connect with them. They had fantastic questions, super smart kids, and we're going to continue to work with the Lollipop Theater, who does really, really good work, and we'll figure out what else we can show them. It's endless, as you know, what we can show off, what we have within the LAFD. December 1st, again, we talked about the promotional ceremony, 28 members total. It's really an incredible event to highlight the hard work, dedication, and commitment of our members. We all know how difficult and competitive it is when it comes to our promotional processes. So those 28 members showed up with their families. The families came up to the stage and pinned their badges, which is always a neat thing to watch. We had 10 engineers, 9 Captain 1s, 6 Captain 2s, and 3 assistant chiefs. And we're going to continue to move towards our promotions as we continue to hire and graduate our new probationary firefighters. So looking forward to our next upcoming promotions within the next few months. Also, it is the holidays, so I did have the opportunity to attend our Administrative Services Bureau. They had their holiday event, and that's where we get to celebrate the incredible workforce that we have on our civilian side. They are the backbone of our organization. The opportunity to sit down and chat with many of our civilian employees and to celebrate the holiday time. So I'm very thankful for the invitation. It's always wonderful to connect with our people. December 2nd was the 2022 California Women in Homeland Security Awards. I was honored to receive the Leadership Award, and I also had the opportunity to speak as a keynote speaker. It's a wonderful organization that continues to support men and women in the Homeland Security area. And again, any award that I receive, it's always on behalf of all the incredible hard work of our sworn and civilian members of the LAFD. So I was honored to receive that award. December 3rd was LAFD Toys for Needy Children Golf Tournament opening ceremony. That was at El Carrizo, was the Knollwood Country Club in Granada Hills. Again, there's so many entities outside the LAFD that want to support our toy drive. And that was a wonderful opportunity to, again, kick off that golf tournament. They brought in toys. They filled up a bunch of bins for our toy event, and any opportunity I have to participate in that, it was really fun to kick that off and to thank all the golfers that particular day that showed up and brought toys for our program. December 4th was the San Pedro Holiday Parade, and again, I got to sit with Vice President Hara. I got to do lots of waves, and we get to highlight our bandwagon, as well as Life Force 48 was present behind us, and it's always neat to be able to connect with the communities that we serve, and that was particularly in the San Pedro area. And lastly, just to share with everybody, we usually meet on a weekly basis at our cabinet meetings with the mayor. Yesterday was our last cabinet with Mayor Garcetti, and again, I wanted to take the time to personally and professionally thank Mayor Garcetti for his continued support of the LAFD. He's really been an incredible leader in regard to supporting the LAFD in our evolution. So I wish he and his family the best in his future endeavors, and wanted to thank him for his continued service to the city. And that's the end of my report. Thank you. You're muted, ma'am.
Thank you, Chief Crowley. You've been very busy also. Thanks. That's really good. I like the pictures for the promotional announcement. That's really good. Because some names we don't know, and I'll say, oh, I know that face. And I'd like to commend Chief McKnight and his staff for the Youth Academy, because he has been doing that endlessly. I know for the last almost 9-10 years that I've been here. And it's always exciting to watch and they did a video this year, which was really exciting. I enjoyed the video. Very good. And congratulations to you, Chief, on being honored and receiving the award.
Thank you.
Wishing you continued success. Okay, very good. Our next item is item 2B. It's a verbal report by the department on significant incidents.
Yes, ma'am. Good morning.
Good morning.
Chief Deputy J.D. Drake, in
Good
charge
morning.
of emergency operations. Good morning, Madam President, Fire Commissioners, our Fire Chief, City Attorney, labor organizations, sworn and civilian staff as well. And I do appreciate the fact that they're getting so much recognition, because it is so well deserved, especially in these times of crises and staffing challenges that we've had. And thank you again for your recognition of Firefighter Kenneth Brink from Fire Station 88, someone who I had the honor to know and privileged to understand the value that he offered this organization. That is a sad loss for us. I would like to address the significant emergencies that we've had in the LAFD for the period ranging November 15th through December 5th, but also to highlight the exemplary efforts of our personnel, and again, the contributions of our civilian staff in supporting us in these challenging times. It really is an opportunity to demonstrate through the 10 emergency incidents that we've had for that period in the delivery of an exceptional public safety and emergency services demonstrated by our personnel. So the first one that I'd like to address is one that occurred in Chinatown on November 17th at 11:34 p.m. over on Spring Street. A 2-story vacant commercial building that had significant fire. We started off in a very aggressive and offensive mode and transitioned to a defensive mode where we protected exposures, and we were able to prevent those exposures from becoming involved in fire as well. On November 19th at 10:12 p.m. out on Penrose Street in Sun Valley, we deployed over 165 firefighters who responded by ground and air, as well as partnerships with Burbank and Glendale fire departments in 2.5 hours of firefighting and well-coordinated defensive operations against a wind-driven fire. Because as you know, now we are entering the Santa Ana challenges that occur. So our members demonstrated a very aggressive approach to not only a wind-driven fire, but also a 50 by 425 metal-clad story business. It had auto repair and cabinet work going on in them. So there was significant damage, but we were able to protect exposures and prevented that from getting over the 5 freeway, and no injuries were reported on that. Again, 165 personnel, 8 command, more than 30 companies, and a unified partnership with our regional resources, as well as specialized resources and arson. On November 20th, 3:40 in the morning, downtown fire in Long Beach, a 100 by 100 1-story commercial that had had previous burns. Our members prevented it from extending into a pallet yard and also saving a very expensive cell site in a defensive mode as well, because this one had become so involved, we ended up in defensive modes on this one as well. Unfortunately, there were remains of one adult male that were found later, and a minor burn by one of our firefighters, with 100 personnel fighting this fire. On November 22nd, on 88th place, we had a detached garage fire, and typically I just bring attention to the significant incidents that we've had, and this is one of them. Now, we go to so many incidents every day, as you all know. So you think, well, why a detached garage fire? Because once again, we had a condition of excessive storage in a converted living space. Even though our firefighters knocked this fire down within 17 minutes, sadly, one adult female was found deceased in this fire as well. On November 25th, out on Collins Street in the San Fernando Valley in Tarzana, there was a 2-story garden-style apartment building where 2 and 3 units were involved with fire. 4 occupants were rescued from an adjacent balcony with ladders. We had 2 children and 2 adults who descended our ladders to a safe location with no injuries. Very proud, again, of the exemplary services demonstrated by our personnel. On November 27th, on 54th Street in the Vermont Square area, firefighters were overhauling, and we found a deceased person inside a vehicle where there was an auto fire which extended into a commercial building. Sadly, again, a 15-year-old male died in this, and we did have someone else in the vehicle that was safely extricated. On November 27th, in the Jefferson Park area, there were 50 firefighters assigned to an incident where no injuries occurred. However, there was an original fire where a total loss occurred in an attic in a commercial building that exposed 1-story commercial and 3 occupancies, all of which were safe. In Shadow Hills area, again in the San Fernando Valley, 111 personnel were deployed in a defensive firefighting operation, which was known as the Randall Fire. And it was a 50 by 150 1-story commercial with fire through the roof, as well as parked vehicles that became involved with fire, and vegetation and debris. Flames threatened at least 2 adjacent commercial structures, and our members defensively protected those. Again, no injuries, 5 command personnel, 15 companies, numerous specialized resources. On December 2nd, we're getting there. We only have 2 more. The 2-week period. Out in Eagle Rock and Hepner, a single-family dwelling was a home that we encountered that was well involved with fire that had 4 occupants inside, and 3 nearby structures being exposed to heat and potential fire as well. 1 person, again, was deceased, found inside of this structure. No other residents or firefighters were injured in this one. So it was a difficult couple of weeks for the LAFD, not so much in that part, but the fatalities that we have been having. And last, at 10 o'clock last night on December 5th, on Fountain Street in Hollywood, a small 1-story bungalow seemed somewhat innocuous, but light smoke showing, firefighters engaged in an offensive, aggressive attack. They extinguished the fire and conducted the search of the building. And unfortunately, once again, another deceased person. So this is an opportunity for me to bring accolades to our sworn and civilian staff in a 2-week period of 10 significant incidents, of which I'm very proud of all the work they've done. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you, Chief Drake. I'm proud of the LAFD firefighters in that we've had no injuries. I think there was 1 minor, but no real injuries during all of these incidents. It's really sad that we've lost some of the civilians in the communities. Do you think that it has anything to do with, I know the car accidents, that's probably something different, but the ones in the buildings, is it because of the weather turning cold and people are trying to get inside?
Those are variables, Madam President. Although I don't have the completed reports from our arson counterterrorism section, oftentimes those are considerations with warming fires and cold winds in the winter months. Yes, ma'am.
Mm-hmm. Have you ever thought of doing a public service announcement regarding this kind of thing that might help prevent. I don't know that it would help, but at least it would bring attention to the fact that some precautions need to be taken in the winter inside these buildings.
We do initiate proactive measures, Madam, with public service notices on the Santa Ana winds and the conditions in the red flag, no parking. And we also collaborate with our law enforcement partners on trying to remove our persons experiencing homeless from areas that would subject them to peril's way. So oftentimes we will move them to different locations based on our concerns for their safety and welfare. Yes, ma'am.
And perhaps owners of empty buildings need to check them more during this time of the year, because they just let them sit there forever and don't pay any attention to them. That would probably help also. Well, thank you very much, Chief Drake. Commissioners, do you have any questions or concerns for Chief Drake on his report?
Yeah, I have a couple of questions. On the structures where we had fatalities, were smoke detectors present?
Commissioner, as you know from your experience in the fire service, and some of these commercials, they will have fire protection systems, they'll have automatic sprinklers, but there are some of them that don't fall under those provisions, and I'd have to do some research on each of those to determine whether there were sprinklers and smoke detectors in each of them, but they were oftentimes the case. In a metal-clad building, different fire protection systems, and they would be in tilt-up and newer commercials and things like that.
Okay, yeah, I was thinking actually more of the residentials that you mentioned, and then the one, probably not a legal ADU, but the converted garage. And then the other question is, do we still have any type of program where we're distributing free smoke detectors?
That's a great question. Not all homes have smoke alarms, and we collaborate with MySafe LA, especially in the areas where there's been deceased individuals or people have been injured seriously in some of these fires. And MySafe LA and the LAFD will work to canvass neighborhoods following these emergencies. And I've participated in this for years, and it's been one of the most gratifying things to participate in, because you see the value in this. We're installing smoke alarms with neighboring occupants, because they realize the importance of this when one of their neighbors dies. And I think that with that heightened awareness, they are extremely receptive to it. In fact, they often ask us, can you come to my house too? Can you come to mine? So MySafe LA, in collaboration with the LAFD, oftentimes schedule these afterwards, and numerous ones, because it's so popular in the community, and for good reason.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, we appreciate MySafe LA for that effort. Thank you. Are there any other concerns or questions from other commissioners?
Yes, Madam President, this is Commissioner Babcock.
Good morning, Commissioner Babcock.
Good morning. Thank you, Chief Drake, for that report. Just for the record as well, because I think oftentimes, at least in my capacity, in my role outside of the commission, I'm often asked, why does it take so long for inspections to happen or delays in construction, if it's new construction or remodeling? I think this is a really good point to bring up in terms of, look, if your architect and your general contractor is not in line with LAFD and DBS in terms of new construction remodeling, and you're going to get delays inflicted on you, oftentimes that's going to cost you more money. I think it's important at the front end to ensure that anybody out there that's building is getting the people that understand how to work with LAFD, how to ensure why the sprinkler system in a big commercial property is so important, or if you're digging underground and putting in a parking structure, all of the rules that come into play. Because look, at the end of the day, if a fire is going to happen and you call 911, it's going to be our firefighters that are going to be put in the line of danger. And if those sprinkler systems, those smoke detectors in homes, unpermitted ADUs that are, we have a great system now through the city to get those done permitted. Again, it's just, I think for the record, I do want to put out there for anyone that is listening or maybe reading in the future that LAFD is there to help. Oftentimes, I think the challenge is there could be some issues of being understaffed. Don't be frustrated by those things, because at the end of the day, it's very clear what has to happen on these new construction, these new builds, the remodels. So thank you, Chief, for going through that. And just this was the time that I thought I would mention it. bring that up. I know that wasn't the main reason you spoke today, but just wanted to put that out there for the record. So thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Commissioner Babcock, because those are very good points. I hear them from people all the time. You're right. Very good comment.
I would like to add, first of all, thank you for your comments. That's extremely important and insightful that you offered that. Proactively, the LAFD works with the Department of Building and Safety and our Construction Services Unit in all the permitting processes. So we collaborate with other city departments. Reactively, subsequent to fires, we also coordinate with Department of Building and Safety by notifying them of structure fires that we've had. And it's not just for the damage to the building. Oftentimes they'll post the buildings, but to ensure that they also engage in the permitting process when they repair these buildings. So that's a great point, Commissioner Babcock. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate you.
Thank you very much. Thanks, Commissioner Babcock. Are there any other concerns or questions from other commissioners? Okay, seeing none, we'll move on to 2C. Thank you, Chief Drake.
That'll be me this morning. I'm Tyler Dixon, Assistant Chief from the EMS Bureau. Good morning, Madam President.
Good morning, Chief Tyler Dixon.
Good morning, Commissioners, Fire Chief Crowley, Deputy City Attorney Nguyen, command staff, and other colleagues and guests. To highlight the excellent work of our firefighter paramedics, firefighter EMTs, our advanced providers, and our officers in the field. I have two incidents that stand out to share with you this morning. The first one occurred on November 22nd in the San Fernando Valley. Light Force 60 and Rescue 102 responded to a home in the North Hollywood area of the city where they found a adult male in his 50s complaining of shortness of breath. During the initial assessment and treatment, the patient went limp and had a sudden cardiac arrest event. Luckily, firefighter paramedics had attached the patient to electrocardiogram and detected a deadly dysrhythmia, ventricular tachycardia. Due to the swift actions of the firefighter paramedics on scene, providing timely defibrillation, and CPR, they were able to reestablish circulation within the patient to the point that as they were transporting the patient to the hospital, he woke up and began a conversation with the firefighter paramedics. They delivered the patient in fair and stable condition to the hospital for follow-up care, where he was having full conversations with the hospital staff. On December 1st, 7 fire companies and 10 paramedic rescues, along with command staff and the commanders of Operation Valley Bureau, responded to a middle school in the San Fernando Valley where there was a report of several students experiencing an overdose. The firefighter paramedics and EMTs, as well as other staff, worked alongside LAUSD, school police, administrators, and faculty to survey the campus, uncovering 10 patients in total who were complaining of mild symptoms associated with the ingestion of a edible with unknown substance in it. This was not related to fentanyl, which is of a high concern due to the deadly possibilities associated with fentanyl. 7 patients in total were transported in fair condition, experiencing mild symptoms, to area hospitals. This is an example of the resources that can be brought to bear within minutes anywhere in the city where there is a multi-casualty incident or an incident where multiple patients are requiring treatment and transportation. This is an example of the fine work and the thousands of patients that the LAFD has seen over the last 2-week period. End of report, ma'am.
Thank you very much, Chief. That was a middle school, right?
Yes, ma'am.
It's just amazing what's happening with our students in the schools and with substance abuse. Are there concerns or questions for Chief Dixon from other commissioners? No hearing and seeing none. Chief Dixon, thank you very much, and we commend your paramedics for the work that they do, and wishing them continued success. It's an important part of our department. Thank you so much. Okay. Now we move on to item 3, which is public comment. Ms. Gomez?
Yes, Madam Chair, I see 2 hands raised.
Okay, thank you.
Number ending in, I'm sorry, 70. I've asked that you unmute. Please state your name and the agenda item or items you will be speaking to.
Hi, good morning. My name is Kathleen Hernandez, and I would like to speak to all items.
Good morning. Thank you. You have 3 minutes,
Good
please.
morning. Good morning, Commission, President Gray, Chief Crowley. I would like to speak first to the budget, and I fully support funding the drill tower and staffing it. And I also hope that you will all fund more firefighter emergency paramedics and get the ball rolling with that. I wanted to speak to give congratulations both to Chief Crowley and Chief Larson. Chief Crowley, I had the honor of attending the Women's Leadership Network event, and I was so proud and so impressed with your speech there. Really got to understand LAFD and your leadership of that, and I just can't say enough about how much you spoke about accountability, listening, strategic planning through the department. I know for sure that we have the right leadership in LAFD, and I thank you. And I thank you for part of that, appointing Chief Larson as an assistant chief, because I know that she will build trust and increase confidence in the department as she works with the DEI Bureau. I would also like to lift up my experience with my nieces and nephews at the California Science Center exhibit. I was pleased to attend that last month with them. Their ages 5 through 9, 3 children, African-American children. And they were just so turned on by the display that LAFD did on the hazards exhibit. It was wonderful. And as I'm listening today, I'm wondering if that cannot, with the DEI, promotion of the magnets with LAFD, some kind of literature there, some kind of perhaps some of the students that go to those magnets to promote that, perhaps smoke alarms, some information there as well. There's a couple things that need to be fixed there. I know that also, is the responsibility of the Science Center, but it's certainly an opportunity where thousands and thousands of families come. And I think that is a great opportunity to continue to expand that and even have a fire department member there and or students with them. So thank you for your time. I'm happy with the growth of the department as a community member. Thank you so much.
Thank you for your comments. Number ending in 108. I've requested that you unmute. Please state your name and the agenda item or items you will be speaking to. Good morning.
Good morning. All agenda items, general public comment, please.
Great. Thank you so much. Please begin.
Good morning, Commissioner Woods Gray, Vice President Hara, Commissioners, Command Staff, Chief Crowley. and all those in attendance. My name is Chris Larson, President of Los Angeles Women in the Fire Service. And I would like to first thank Chief Crowley for her continued support of the budget of adding more firefighters to the department. Clearly, we have a staffing issue, and getting this money for hiring recruits is incredibly important, as well as the relief of getting emergency appointment paramedics onto the fire department. This is going to go a long way to boosting the morale and cutting the shortages that we need. I'm also saddened that we have lost Sue Stingle as an independent assessor, but I'm buoyed by the fact that we have a very competent individual to take her place in Tyler Ensign. And so that I hope that the commission takes advantage and approves the budget request of the fire department and the appointment of the interim independent assessor, as these are vital things that the department needs. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Ms. Gomez, are there others? I see a hand, but I think maybe they already spoke. I'm not sure. Are there others, Ms. Gomez?
Yes. Number ending in 105. I've requested that you unmute. Please state your name and the agenda item and items you will be speaking to. Yes, correct. We hear you.
Freddie Escobar, general comments and all items.
Please begin.
All right. Good morning, everyone. My name is Freddie Escobar, President of United Firefighters of Los Angeles City, representing over 3,400 brothers and sisters of the LAFD. After reviewing the final proposed fire budget for fiscal year 2023-2024, UFLAC is pleased to see funding being allocated for 5 new academy classes over the next 3 years. This will help to alleviate our staffing shortage in the field. UFLAC is also in favor of the emergency appointed paramedic program because the LAFD is in desperate need for additional paramedics to handle the increasing number of emergency medical calls. We also support the funding for replacing breathing apparatus and cardiac monitors. These vital pieces of equipment keep our members safe and allow them to provide the best emergency care possible. Additionally, UFLAC welcomes converting the EMS captains in Battalion 5 to platoon duty, but we believe the goal should be for all battalions to have EMS captains on platoon duty, period. This will be essential in ensuring quality control on a 24, 7 days a week basis for our EMS service to the public, and also help with education-based discipline when necessary that allows our members to constantly improve while remaining in the field during our staffing crisis. As fires continue to rage out of control within our city and the state, it's critical to continue to fund the wildfire field management programs, including the Fire Crew 4. So we agree with this additional funding. Our members' health is our top priority, and our union has always fought for additional replacement turnouts and extractor installations. Cancer still is the #1 on the job killer for firefighters. So keep our turnouts clean is essential for firefighting health and safety. While we appreciate the above items being budgeted, UFLAC would like to see funding allocated to restore the position authorities that were cut over a decade ago, as dozens of fire trucks and engines were removed from some of the priority restorations. They include Truck 17, Truck 28 at Fire Station 28, Truck 72, Engine 74, Engine 78, Engine 96. That's just to name a few. Again, it's important to always remember that we have fewer firefighters, trucks, and engines in the LAF today than we had more than 10 years ago. And the demands on our members have only increased each year. With this stat in mind, let's make sure we prioritize hiring and staffing before creating additional bureaus, which will also need to be staffed by the men and women of our department. I want to be clear, UFLAC supports the DEI Bureau, supports that, but we should be addressing boots on the ground, the members in the field that are present en route on scene every single day that are doing the 2,000 calls plus. Lastly, As I mentioned at the last Fire Commission meeting, the department has been plagued by payroll issues these last few months. Thank you for addressing this in the budget and adding the staffing necessary to get our members paid what they are rightfully due. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for your comments. That was our last speaker, Madam Chair.
Okay. Thank you very much to all of our speakers. And one speaker reminded me as we go on, we'll always find things that Mayor Garcetti did. But one of the outstanding things that he did in this last year was to appoint our chief. And I believe it's 106 years and the first female chief that we've ever had. So we have to, that's something that goes to the top of his list. Many things to remember about Mayor Garcetti. Let's move on to item 4, determination of the governmental code section 54953E1. Are there any comments, questions, concerns? If not, a motion is in order.
I want to make a couple of comments about this.
Okay, Commissioner Ibarra.
Thank you. So during the last couple of months, I've been to a few events with some of our members and, you know, people that I don't know and ordinarily I would not see. And it just struck me that during the last 3 years that we have been remote, we've missed a lot of opportunities to sort of hear directly from them about some of their issues of concern and some of the problems which we don't hear about. And also the level of division that we're hearing from members in our department, which I think we're all aware of, some of it having to do with vaccines, some of it having to do with gender issues. There's tons of issues. And I just realized that having not coming in every day means that people don't get to catch us, you know, on our way in, on our way out, and, you know, tell us what has been happening. And a lot has happened during the last 3 years. So for that reason, I mean, you know how I'm going to vote. I always vote this way about this issue. I mean, not always, but during the last 6 months, this has been my position. And I've just, during the last couple of months, it's just become really obvious to me that we're sort of, that there's this disconnect between what we understand is going on in the department and what our members tell us when we see them at events, when we see them in, you know, in City Hall East, and when we see them at the firehouses. So for that reason, I think it's really imperative that we go back in person sooner rather than later. And for me, like, it's time now.
One of the, I agree with you, Commissioner Ibarra. I miss going to fire stations because that's where I got the information. I never really got it at the meeting because there's really no space. But the fire station visits were really the place where you really heard one-on-one from many of the firefighters. And actually, sometimes you even got to observe things that you wouldn't see normally. So I do miss the fire station visits. And I've been noting that within the news that the amount of the COVID cases have increased in LA County to the point where they're almost about to go back to mask probably in January, maybe because after the Christmas holidays and all of the gatherings that will happen, we'll see what happens there. I never go without my mask anyway, so it's not a problem for me. Commissioner Babcock, did you have a comment?
Yeah, I just wanted to, I know we are here on December 6th and we're 30 days out from pretty much, I think, the start of the year, our first meeting. And I've wanted to honor what, you know, I said probably a couple months ago with making sure that we're in line with what our staff has in place and if they're ready for us to come in person. I know we had talked about a hybrid model at one point, but I am also, I think, you know, now in line in terms of just I'm ready to come back in person. I'm similar to you, Madam President. I wear my mask when I go to events, at least for the most part. I try to. I always encourage folks that are sick to please stay home, whether it's this RSV that's going around, trying to refrain from getting sick for my own almost 1-year-old. But I too am ready to return back in person, and only to be in a place where we can be accessible to both the members, the public, and again, we've been in this Zoom situation for a couple years. It's benefited me personally, so I'm grateful for that, to have been able to be virtual. But for that reason, I will be voting to go back in person, and just wanted to state my comment there for the record. So thank you.
Okay. Commissioner Harvey?
Well, I think it's a good idea to start the new year by coming back in person. I've attended events, and it's important for the members to have access to us. So I'll be voting to return to live meetings.
Commissioner Howard, did you have something to say?
No, other than the fact that, at this point, I'm inclined to agree with the other commissioners that maybe it's time that we return. We might have to wear masks and what have you, but I think it would be good to return, in-person meetings.
Hi, this is Deputy City Attorney Linda Nguyen. I just wanted to clarify that if the commissioners do not feel that it's necessary to continue having virtual meetings, then no vote is necessary. No vote just means that we, in 30 days from the last vote, we will go back to in-person meetings.
Okay, so if I understand you, then no motion would mean
no
that
motion
we would
is
just go
necessary.
back. So it's necessary if they feel that that we would start in January with our meetings.
Yes, whatever the vote for the last. Letitia, can you give us a date for the last vote?
November 29th.
So the first meeting after December 29th, we would be in person if no vote is taken today.
And that would be January, the January meetings. And
yes.
That's we had talked about starting the new year off with in-person meetings, hybrid meetings, if we could find a way to have a hybrid meeting. But it's if whatever the pleasure of the commission is so I mean, if there's no motion, then we'll move on to the next item. Is there a motion for item 4A? Okay, seeing no one wanting to make a motion, I will move to item 5, which is the consent agenda. Are there any comments or concerns on the consent agenda items? If not, a motion is in order to approve.
Motion.
Receive and file.
Motion.
The second.
File. Second.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we receive and file items 5A, B, A, and B. Ms. Gomez, would you do a roll call, please?
What's Gray?
Aye.
Commissioner Babcock?
Yes.
Hara?
Aye.
Harvey?
Aye.
Ibarra?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, very good. Now let's move to item 6, regular agenda item. That is item A, BFC 22-116. And I believe Mr. Rodriguez is going to do that report.
Yes.
Good morning, Mr. Rodriguez.
Good morning, Madam President, Commissioners, everyone. The Fire Department is pleased to submit for final approval the proposed budget submission for fiscal year 23-24. The department's preliminary proposed budget requests were considered by the Commission on November 1st, just over a month ago. The department requests a total of $904 million from various resources, which includes $838 million for the operating budget and $66 million in non-departmental requests for MICLA fleet replacement, facilities maintenance, and unappropriated balance requests. The operating budget for 23-24 is estimated at $55 million, above the current fiscal year. That's roughly a 7% over current year. Cost of living adjustments in effect through fiscal year 23-24 for both sworn and civilian employees are included within that estimate. Attachments to the report before you include a summary of significant requests, which would be attachment A, and a funding summary, which would be attachment B at the basically the last page of the report. A complete electronic copy of the proposed budget 700-page binder was also made available to the commission. I believe that was done through a Google Drive link as part of the agenda notice. Changes from the November 1st report are noted as new or modified in the report before you. Since we went over most of the significant items in the November meeting, the focus of this meeting, or my presentation rather, will just be on changes or new items added since then. I'm going to start with self-contained breathing apparatus, the SCBA systems. That was modified from 10 million to 12 million. Funding of no less than 30 million is likely to be needed for a complete inventory replacement based on trial testing conducted by our supply and maintenance operations. 18 million of that is available from prior year funding, and 12 million is requested to make that sum whole. Again, we're anticipating 30 million minimum, but those bids have yet to be determined, as the trial testing concludes, and the department is in a better position to finalize estimates. Another item that was added were helicopter display unit upgrades. That's 950,000. That's funding to replace avionic display systems in medium-duty water-dropping helicopters. The current Honeywell systems will no longer be supported after 2023. After discussions with ITA, our Air Ops unit was advised to submit a budget request, and ITA would be submitting one as well for some of the more technical areas. Third item that was added, false fire alarm program staffing. That's about 200,000. That's a staffing request to manage the program, which imposes fees and penalties on property owners with chronic false alarm activations. This item was actually heard in a recent commission meeting over the past month, and this request is to continue the program into fiscal year 23-24. Finally, there are a couple of requests with the goal of providing resources to address some of the unique challenges the department's been experiencing in the transition to the new Workday payroll system. One is titled Workday System Resolution for Sworn Timekeeping, which is basically a request to provide a position authority for the placement of members in training or transitionary situations in the new Workday system. This would primarily include members in IOD, injury on duty situations pending workers' comp outcomes or other medical resolution, as well as members in training, which would include paramedic training and other training that essentially places them off duty for a period of time. In the past, we were able to float members in non-specific positions so long as funding was available to support their salaries, but this is no longer viable in the new system. Again, we're only requesting position authority for 320 slots and no funding. Second request related to easing into the new Workday system was a personnel support for payroll resolution. That's a new position in the classification of personnel analyst to centralized processing for all payroll documents for new members, transfers, promotions, and other status changes. That comes out at a cost of approximately $70,000 in the first year at least, and would be in the form of a resolution authority. that's pretty much it as far as changes. To close, the adopted budget will continue moving the department forward, improving response times, fostering a more diverse and equitable workplace, and furthering the goal of ensuring that our communities continue to be among the safest in the nation. With that, I will close for questions, comments.
Are there any questions or concerns from the commissioners? Thank you very much for the very detailed report. As always, you provide us with good records.
Thank you, Madam President.
Commissioner Ibarra, did you have a question or concern?
No, just thank you for the very thorough report and for shepherding this through the whole process. Thanks.
I appreciate that.
Now, what is the timeline on this now?
The report has been released to the mayor's office and sealed for basically they have a very short time frame upon which to complete the analysis of costs relative to revenues. So that process started on November 18th with submission of budgets. And it basically undergoes that process through the charter. Mayor's a charter submission due date of April 20th. Basically turning that process over to the council for their consideration of the proposed budget and their proposed modifications, and to essentially approved by the council in the latter part of May to provide the sufficient public notice period for a July 1st implementation.
Okay, very good. Thank you very much. Okay, let's see. Are there any other questions or concerns from other commissioners? Okay, seeing none, then a motion is in order for item A, 6A5 BFC 22-116.
So moved.
Second.
There's second. So it's been moved and seconded that the board approve the report and recommendations of BFC 22-116. Ms. Gomez, would you do the roll call, please?
Woods Gray,
Yes.
Babcock,
Yes.
Hara,
Aye.
Harvey,
Aye.
Ibarra.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Rodriguez. Item B, 6B, is a verbal update by the department on the proposed description of the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Bureau. Is that Chief Gutierrez?
Yes, ma'am. Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning, Madam President, Vice President Hara, Commissioners, Fire Chief Crowley, City Attorney Nguyen, all command staff on this call. Excited to speak about this and update you as requested by the Commission on the DEI Inclusion Bureau. What I will do is provide an update, which is a brief overview, which will include some current summary and milestones as we progress through this. So in accordance with the Commission's request relative to the status of the Equity Bureau, this is following the successful completion of the Deloitte study, which the organizational training assessment outlined 22 recommendations to follow and a roadmap subsequent to it. The department has begun work carefully and thoughtfully to unfold this new bureau to construct lasting change. As with the Deloitte study, it outlined 3 areas which the bureau will seek. 1, to strengthen the LAFU's organizational structure to meet the needs of today. 2, to prepare LAFU's organizational structure to meet the needs of tomorrow. And 3, to continue to build upon the progress and focus on action-oriented recommendations to continue the momentum. In line with that, internally, the department is now unfolding a new strategic plan. Within that is a goal, which is our goal number 3, which is a commitment to an organizational culture that embraces diversity, equity, inclusion. Within that is 4 strategies and 24 benchmarks to follow. So what I'd like to do briefly is just go over the current organizational architecture currently, and then quickly brief on the future architecture. As we know and was mentioned previously at the beginning of this meeting, we are gracious and very thankful to Mayor Garcetti and really recognizing the need for this within our organization and funding it. In our first year's budget request, there are positions that were funded both for the 6 months and 9 months period. As of October, we have funding for 3 positions that we're currently hiring, in the process of hiring for, and looking forward to unfolding further in January. So that's ongoing now. That involves, again, a very feather in the cap, and thankful to our personnel services along with city personnel to assist us. Some of these positions were being crafted for the very first time. So in that along the way, it's been a lot of work in doing so. On that same note, year 2 would also bring additional positions to really fully see the full effects of this as we continue to unfold the Bureau. Along that, I'd also like to give you an update on some, what I would call a summary and some milestones that we've been doing along the way. And I'll kind of go through some of the highlights just really briefly. So like with anything, I think it's important to outline some of the research that was done initially as we took on this endeavor. This was the decisions and how we're unfolding this was not made in a vacuum. We've reached out to recognized institutions, organizations, and a lot of municipal departments that are actually doing this now, both in law enforcement and fire. So we continue to not only research for industry standards, but also utilize best practices as we go through them. A couple of highlights, and if you remember from the organizational study, there was essentially 4 large buckets or areas that the department within those recommendations within the roadmap would follow. That would be leadership development, talent management, systemic equity and inclusion, operational processes and systems. So quickly, in some of the highlights under leadership development, we're very excited and very proud that we've done our first battalion chief mentorship program. This is one that's still, to this day, still being developed. The curriculum is still being developed, but we've done some outlining in terms of task books and otherwise really provide guidelines for our newly appointed battalion chiefs, and we plan to do it for all ranks to bring consistency, standardization, and more than anything, better collaboration of expectations within the workforce. Along those same lines was our chief officer, company officer education program, which is our core. We delivered our first, what we call our inclusion piece, which was a quick symposium that outlines inclusion practices that we've taken from Cornell that have provided us with guidelines for our frontline supervisors to how to provide a workplace that's inclusive of all genders, ethnicities, and all walks of life within the workplace, and really provided a toolkit for new supervisors, and we plan to continue to build on that. Most importantly, we reestablished our internal stakeholder meeting, which is now taken on it's called LEAD, which is Leadership, Education, Diversity, Equity, Inclusion. And what we do on that is we meet monthly with all stakeholders, including collective bargaining unit, UFLAC, Chief Officers Association, all their stakeholders, to really roundtable all the things that we're doing as we go through the planning process to provide transparency and consistency in everything that we do, so it ensures best practices and it's equitable across the board. Some of the other things that we're currently doing, just again highlights, is re-looking at our leadership competency models for all ranks. We've in talent management, we've currently evaluated all our current job bulletins. That's our promotional job bulletins, really clearly looking at them to see that they encompass clear expectations in terms of our core values, our mission and vision statements for the organization, and what's expected for those members that are promoting amongst the ranks of our organization. We've established our first DEI org chart. Like with anything, it will probably have some agility in it, but we're looking at specific titles and jobs and specifics and trying to really flatten the organization and prevent some of the silos so that we understand and be able to follow the career pathway of all our employees. And then finally, in the future, just some of the highlights of the things that are going on right now is, once again, it was mentioned throughout this meeting, our civilian population. Clearly looking at designing leadership programs and management programs for our civilian population, which are really critical and a key role to support the organization as it goes. We're launching these programs such as emerging leaders and whatnot. We're currently looking at programs throughout the country and actually sitting down with either consultants or otherwise institutions to see if those programs can fit within to help us guide us through this pathway. And then, of course, talent management is establishing a formal succession planning. We're currently drafting that, and as we look at it, What does it look like? How do we impact that in the long run? And then, of course, as we move and really start to form the foundation of this bureau, is once again is looking at developing that overall strategy and what that strategy looks like, how we unfold it, that it's lasting, that it's one that's here that's going to impact the organization, not just for today, but as mentioned earlier, for tomorrow, which is more importantly. So those are just some quick highlights of where what we're currently doing. There's a lot going on. I can go on and on and on, but we're really excited about some of the key deliverables that we're doing now, and more importantly, what we envision in doing in the future. The thing that I think that's important is our strategic plan will align with this completely. So as we embed that and embed all of this through the fabric or within the organization, it'll be something that'll be here to last. So it'll be something that you'll see that not only our workforce, but the community will rely on, that we know that we're doing everything through multiple lenses and ensuring equity in everything that we do. So that's just a very, very, very brief overview. Again, with the study, as I mentioned previously, it outlined clear expectations and actions that were set and that we're going to follow. So that's where we're at now, and I'm available for any questions.
Okay, thank you very much. Commissioners, you have questions? Commissioner Ibarra, do you have a question?
Well, just a comment, actually. So congratulations. This has been a long time coming. We all knew that we needed this, and so thanks to everybody in the department who's making this happen. So as somebody who's been through a lot of DEI trainings during the last 10 years, I just want to say, like, it's a new field. There's a lot of evolution still happening with it. So I just think that we should not be afraid to sort of try things. And if it doesn't work exactly for our organization, because this is a very unique place, to just try again. And, you know, there's no such thing as failure. Just keep trying and see what's going to work for the population that we serve, internally, externally, all of that. So it's important to be on the journey. So, and I'm glad that we're on it now. So thanks.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Commissioner. Are there other comments from commissioners or questions or concerns? Okay, very good. Well, thank you very much, Chief Gutierrez. And we'll look forward to having a written report soon.
Yes, ma'am.
In another few months.
Yes, ma'am.
But thank you for the update, and wishing you the very best of luck.
Thank you, ma'am. I appreciate the opportunity to present this, and we'll be coming forward with the written report, particularly as we start to unfold this very carefully and mindfully.
Thanks so much. Okay, now moving on to the next item on our agenda, which is 6C, appointment of an interim independent assessor. I had a conversation with the mayor's office, and they were in support of appointing an interim independent assessor. Some of you may not be aware that they're working on a job description for the independent assessor at this time. So it means that perhaps 6 months in a few months they'll be able to fly the job, and then in 6 months hopefully they'll be able to actually have someone in the job. So because of the timeliness and the space in between, the mayor's office supports having an independent, interim independent assessor, and naming Tyler Ensign as that person. Is there discussion or questions or concerns about item 6B? 6C, I'm sorry. And I don't know. We have some new commissioners, and you may not. But there is a bio in the board packet. And Tyler has been working with Sue, helping her to do her audits for the last, I think, 7 years. She came on right after there was one other. I think only 2 people have actually held this job as the independent assessor after the charter was changed. And for whatever reason, there was never a job description. It did not go through personnel department before, so this time it has to go through the personnel department, which is the correct procedure for it. And so that's where we are at this time. And I think Commissioner Ibarra, you were on the interview team for Sue, right?
Right, and we did have a job description, and I'm sure I still have it. And it was
if you have it, you could send it over. Because Graham and people have been looking in the department. The personnel department is working on it.
It was before Chief Everett. It was right before.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, there's.
If you send it to me, I have the lady's name who's actually working on it.
I have distinct recollection of working on the job description with the mayor's office, and the staff in the mayor's office was different at that time. But yes, there is a job description for that, and I'm pretty sure it was posted and it went through personnel department. So it did go
for whatever reason, they can't find any records of it. Isn't that something?
Yeah, I'm happy to help with whatever I can. But yeah, and I'm happy, and I'm also congratulations to Tyler Eisen for this new appointment. It's a very important position. It is, when it was first established, like, it was focused on disciplinary issues, which have always been and have never stopped being a subject of a lot of controversy in this department. To me, it's like job number one. And also for as the oversight body, that's the one thing that as civilians, like, we have a special interest in, and we hear a lot from the public about that. So it's a very important position, and yeah, it should not be vacant. I have a lot of other thoughts about it as well, because I actually we served with Stephen Miller for about 3 months.
Oh, were you?
Yeah, we were, yeah. Stephen Miller was
I didn't realize he was there that long. It looks like I came to one meeting, and the second meeting they said, fire him.
It was but there was some litigation, so let's not get too deep into it.
Right.
But I think it was, I think it was like November, so sometime around this time, 9 years ago. So we did serve with him for a little bit, and we actually heard some of his reports. I don't know if you remember that.
Yeah, I do remember his reports. I do remember his reports.
So,
which I thought were good reports, actually.
Yeah, so I do have a lot of thoughts about how, I mean, part of it is the individual who comes in has some ideas about it, but I've always thought that first thing from beginning to end, it needs to be constantly and consistently, it needs to be discipline. So for that reason, I do think that whoever the next independent assessor is, and, because I don't know that Mr. Eisen's going to have time to do it by himself. So when there is a permanent appointment and there's support, we need to go back and look at 2020, because I know that this is the one thing that this office is supposed to do, is look at the disciplinary reports every year once they're closed, and do a summary of it. So I know that Sue didn't have an opportunity to do 2020. So, but there's a gap in our record, and to me, like, there's no good reason why there should be a gap.
Actually, there is a report. There is a report for 2020, but because of a lot of legal cases, it was never presented. And so we're still waiting on these court cases to go through, because Graham checks with the city attorney, and the city attorney said that they didn't think we could do the report. But hopefully, maybe we could get to do the report in the next 2 or 3 months, because then Tyler could do the report.
Okay, because I didn't think that the closed disciplinary cases necessarily touch on litigation. That's a separate report, but whatever. But in any event, yes, that needs to happen. And so I'm glad that we all recognize that needs to happen at some point if it hasn't happened yet. So thanks. Those are all my comments.
Okay, thank you very much. Are there other comments or concerns from commissioners? Okay, seeing none, is there a motion for item C, BFC 22-122, to appoint an interim, Tyler Ensign, as the interim independent assessor?
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we appoint Tyler Ensign as the interim independent assessor. Ms. Gomez, would you do a roll call, please?
Woods Gray,
Aye.
Babcock,
Yes.
Hara,
Aye.
Harvey,
Aye.
Ibarra.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, thank you very much. Now, Tyler, I know that you're on. Would you like to have a minute?
I don't want to take any of your time, but I would love the opportunity to thank you and of course entertain any questions. If anyone has any questions of me or my background, I have some stuff prepared, but it was kind of prepared to convince you I'm the person for the job. But you've already done that, so
it's always good to be prepared.
I will thank you for this great opportunity. It's been an honor. I've worked with Sue for the past 7 years. I look forward to serving the Fire Commission in the continuing oversight of the Los Angeles City Fire Department. So thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much, and good luck to you there. Okay, the last item on our agenda is 6D, and that's the verbal report by the department on COVID. Chief Everett.
Morning, Madam President.
Good morning to you.
Commissioners, City Attorney Nguyen, Fire Chief. My name is Graham Everett, Deputy Chief, and I serve as the Chief of Staff. Today with your COVID update numbers for this meeting. As you know, we have 3,798 members. 3,450 of those members are sworn, 348 are civilian. Of the 3,450 members, sworn members, 2,943 are fully vaccinated. That's a total of about 85 and change %. 309 civilian members are fully vaccinated. That's 89%. Our exemption numbers have not changed since the last meeting. We have 389 total exemptions. 48 of those are medical, 7 approved and 37 denied. 341 religious exemption requests, 3 approved and 204 were denied. We have 148 pending review. Those numbers have become static. They did a changeover in systems at personnel department, so there were some changes, but again, these numbers are static now. In terms of unpaid administrative leave, we had a total of 358 sworn members that received a 48-hour notice to go on unpaid administrative leave at the beginning, and 1 civilian member. Of those members, 128 sworn members and 1 civilian member became compliant before they were actually placed on that leave, and 230 sworn members were placed on the administrative leave. Of that number, 211 became compliant after they were put on leave. 17 resigned, 2 retired early, and 2 have been discharged. Currently we have 14 members on administrative leave. Today's current numbers for COVID active cases, we have 14 members that are currently off duty due to COVID-19. 9 of those members are in isolation at home. 4 members are unable to return to duty due to post-infection disability, and 1 member is on light duty with a post-infection disability. Nobody's in the hospital, and that concludes my report for this week, unless you have any questions.
Is that the same number of people who are unable to return to duty? That was 9 and 1 on light duty? Is that the same number as before?
No, that number's changing a little bit. I think last time we had maybe 7 in isolation, but that number fluctuates day to day. Because some people are coming through their isolation period and some people are becoming infected. So we had a slight increase in numbers, but we're still in the single digits of members that are isolated at home.
Okay, very good. Are there any questions for Chief Everett? Okay, seeing none. It brings us to the end of our agenda. There's a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Motion to adjourn the December 6th meeting.
Second.
There's a second. Okay, so it's been moved and seconded that we adjourn the meeting. Ms. Gomez.
Woods Gray.
Aye.
Babcock.
Yes.
Hara.
Aye.
Harvey.
Aye.
Ibarra.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Very good. Thank you, everyone. The holidays are here. Be safe. We'll see everybody on the 20th, I believe it is.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.